Louise Banks is a mother to a beautiful daughter. From the moment she first saw her, she's completely in love with her beautiful baby girl. They're playing in the backyard laughing together, and then she grows up to be a beautiful teenager. But sadly, Louise can't see her daughter grow anymore. She died of a rare disease in her teenage age. Louise is devastated to see her only child laying in the hospital bed pale and cold. It all started on the day they arrived. Louise is a linguistic professor at a university. One day in one of her classes, the news announces the arrival of 12 unknown spaceships at various locations around the world. Countries that are affected send their best military team and scientific experts to study these ships, and one of them being the USA. 2 days after their arrival, the government still hasn't announced further information about them. Even there's no information that the 15.000 feet ships are controlled by aliens or not. People start to get worried, riots, looting, and panic buying happens all over the country. In her office, Louise is watching the news of how the condition of the country has worsened. Suddenly, she's surprised by a man and his 2 companies. He introduces himself as Colonel G.T. Weber from the U.S. military. He comes to Louise because of her successful history of translating for the military before when dealing with foreign rebels. He brings a record of conversation between their research team and the aliens inside the ship, asking Louise to translate them. He demands Louise to translate it only by that record, but Louise refuses. She only will agree if they bring her to the site. At first, the colonel won't accept the deal, but it looks like they have no other option than her. He picks up Louise at her house with a helicopter in the middle of the night. Turns out, Louise isn't the only one they pick up. Louise meets Ian Donnelly, a physicist that will study the ship along with her. Arriving at the location, Louise and Ian are nervous seeing the ship with their own 2 eyes. As a standard procedure, they're given a booster vaccine to prevent unwanted exposure. Then, Colonel Weber explains the priority questions they have to ask, such as what do they want? Where they're from? And why are they here? Colonel Weber also introduces them to their team that will help them with this mission. Without wasting any time, they start preparing to get on board the ship. First, they get into a sanitary room and put on hazmat suits as a safety protocol. On their way there, Louise is so nervous that she's struggling to breathe. Every 18 hours, a hallway opens for them to enter the ship. It's as if the personnel on board the ship are inviting them. They enter the hallway and reach no gravity zone. From there, they're able to float and walk on the wall. There, they and the aliens are only separated by a glass wall. The aliens reveal themselves amidst the smoke from behind the glass. They're huge and look like a cephalopod with 7 legs, they call them heptapods. In this first session, Louise and Ian haven't been able to make any progress to talk to them. When they're back at the compound, Louise is still in shock, and Ian isn't any better that he even pukes. Louise tries to find a solution to communicate with them. At the next session, Louise brings a board as a tool to help communicate with them. She writes human and points to herself and the others. Surprisingly, this method works. The heptapods reply by spraying a black smoke that forms a specific shape. All the team members are thrilled that they're finally getting a response. Back at the camp, instead of getting appreciated, Colonel Weber scolds Louise for teaching English to the heptapods. He claims that with these methods, it'll take longer to be able to communicate with them. But, Louise convinces him that they have to do this method, so we won't misinterpret them, and he accepts it. At the next session, Louise tries to introduce herself by writing her name on the board, but the heptapods aren't responding. So, she makes a very risky decision. She takes off her hazmat and approaches the glass wall. She puts her hand on the glass, and the heptapods respond the same. Ian also steps closer and takes off his hazmat. He writes his name on the board and introduces himself. This time, their method works. Each of the heptapods' responses with different symbols, seems like they have names just like us. But because they haven't found out how to read them, Ian decides to name them Abbott and Costello. While trying to crack the heptapods' language, Louise is distracted by memories of her daughter when she was young. Finally, they start to figure out how the heptapods' language works. Their written language doesn't have any forward or backward direction. The linguists call it nonlinear orthography. They even managed to make a software that can generate and interpret their language symbols with the little information. In their spare time, Louise and Ian are spending time in the back of a truck, admiring the ship and the view around. Ian even makes jokes trying to flirt with Louise. Meanwhile, the situation around the world is getting worse and worse. People went wild after a photo of the heptapods went viral. They start questioning the government's policy towards these unknown entities. A lot of people agree on using force, even killing them. When trying to understand the heptapods' language, suddenly Louise is having flashing memories of her daughter. Her daughter is showing her a picture, which she calls Mommy and Daddy Talks to Animals. Even when she's just trying to have some air, the memories still haunt her. From the moment she tucks her little daughter to sleep until sleeping with her teenage daughter in the hospital bed. Louise and Ian are talking in her room, Ian says that he read a theory that sometimes if you study another language, it will change the way you think. Out of curiosity, he asks Louise if she dreams in the heptapod's language. Louise confesses that she had a few dreams but states that doesn't mean that she's unfit to do this job, as she turns and hallucinates about the heptapods. The next morning, Louise wakes up to Colonel Weber knocking on her door. Colonel Weber asks her to listen to the Chinese's military chief, General Shang, phone calls. Shang mentions suits, honor, and flowers, which are the tile sets in Mahjong. They find out that the Chinese are communicating with the heptapods with Mahjong. This will be dangerous, because if you communicate with the heptapods using a game, every idea will be expressed through opposition, victory, and defeat. Hearing this, Colonel Weber forces her to ask the big questions now. Soon, Louise and her team get back to the ship. Louise is forming a sentence in her device, asking the heptapods their purpose on Earth. And their answers shut everyone down. Offer weapons, they said. Louise, Ian, and the others are arguing about what it means on the meeting table. Louise claims that weapons can also be translated to tools, because our language is messy and sometimes one can be both. And Ian thinks that maybe they're asking us to offer them something, not the other way around. Colonel Weber asks Louise how they can make sure what weapons mean, and Louise wants to do it by going back to the ship. After Weber leaves, one of the agents, Agent Halpern, speaks his mind that the heptapods want humans to fight against each other until only one prevails, just like it happened in our history before. Meanwhile, some of the nations have decided to invade the heptapods. China and Russia sign out of the party, and Louise and her team have been ordered to do the same. Louise tries to stop it but fails. Soon, all the country follows. The news reports that General Shang has said that the heptapods want to divide us and he wants immediate meetings with the UN. Responding to the situation, some soldiers load up unknown packages onto the ship. Meanwhile, Louise and her team are ordered to stop all activities and avoid boarding the ship. Turns out, they are planning to bomb the heptapod's ship to kill them. Louise and Ian get in the ship, having no idea there's a ticking bomb in it. Because the soldiers aren't answering the radio calls, Colonel Weber sends securities to find out what's going on. Meanwhile, Louise and Ian are asking the heptapods what they mean by offering weapons. Then suddenly, one of the heptapods starts knocking on the glass wall. Abbott places his hand on the wall, hinting Louise to do the same and write on it. The second she touches the wall, flashing memories of her daughter happens once again. Without them knowing, the ticking bomb is nearing to explode, but the heptapods have sensed the danger. Knowing this, Costello flies away while Abbott keeps writing aggressively. The bomb hits 7 seconds left when Abbott pushes both Louise and Ian back, and the bomb goes off. Abbott just saves Louise and Ian's lives by pushing them out of the ship. Louise wakes up in the compound's medical room, and the first thing she asks is Ian. The doctor says Ian is alright and has already woken up. The colonel and Ian are looking at the photo of Abbott's writing before the explosion. Louise walks in and insists that they can't leave now. She wants to explain to the heptapods that this isn't their fault, and they have to stay as long as they stay. Suddenly, the compound starts to shake and a strange noise is heard outside. Everyone rushes outside and sees that the ship has flown upwards and changed position, but they're not leaving just yet. In the compound, Agent Halpern is informed by his colleagues that China is already preparing to blow their heptapod ship in the sky, and they should prepare for what comes after from the heptapods. This information is also being shared on the news. China's language experts have already delivered an ultimatum. The heptapods have 24 hours to leave China's territory or they will destroy their ship. General Shang also urges the other world leaders to unite with China and do the same. And from the look of their forces on the landing site, Pakistan, Russia, and Sudan are following China's lead. Louise and Ian are studying the last heptapod's writing. As Ian zooms into the writing, Louise is having other memories of her daughter. Her daughter is asking her the scientific terms for a win-win solution. But, she can't remember the terms and ends up telling her daughter to go ask her father. She wakes up to Ian's voice. Ian is already cracking the case. He believes that this data is one of 12 pieces that are spread over every heptapod's ships in the world. In the meeting, Louise says that she wants to help the other sites to find the data, so they can put the pieces together. Agent Halpern says that's impossible as the other countries have abandoned the friendly approach. He shows them the footage of Russia killing their own experts to keep their secret. But that doesn't stop Louise, she still insists that they have to work together. Agent Halpern then asks her how they can ask the others to give up their data. Ian answers that they will offer them their data first, like a non-zero-sum game. Then it hit her, the term that her daughter asks is the same, non-zero-sum game. Louise suddenly gets some kind of calling from the heptapods and leaves the room, and Ian notices her absence and follows her outside. She gets into a shuttle that is sent to pick her up to the ship. The shuttle takes off from the ground and brings her inside. The room starts to be filled with some kind of gas. The next second, she's already inside the ship, but this time, she's on the other side of the glass wall. There's only Costello present, so Louise asks him of Abbott's whereabouts. Costello then tells her that Abbott is dying due to the explosion and Louise is very sorry. She asks Costello to send messages to the other sites, but Costello doesn't want to do it as Louise already has the weapon and tells her to use it. Louise doesn't understand what he means, and asks again about their purpose for coming to Earth. The heptapods answer that they are here to help humanity, because 3,000 years in the future, they will need humanity's help. Louise wonders how they know the future, then the memories of her daughters flash once again. She shakes her head, says that she doesn't understand and asks who this kid is. The heptapods explain that she is seeing her future daughter, and her weapon is that she can now receive and understand premonition. After sending her back to the ground, the ship changes its position again. Ian welcomes her and informs her that they're evacuating because Russia and Sudan have followed China to invade the heptapods. Before entering the vehicle, she receives another premonition about her daughter. Her daughter asks her why her father doesn't look at her the same way anymore. Louise then explains that it's her fault. She tells her husband something that he isn't ready to hear, which involves a rare disease. Her husband thinks that she made the wrong choice and decided to leave her. All the ships around the world are now in horizontal position. In China, their military army is already in position to attack. Meanwhile, Louise keeps having visions of her daughter. In one of them, her daughter asks why she named her Hannah. She explains that Hannah is a palindrome, meaning it reads the same forwards as backwards. In the other, she's opening a book about the universal language that she wrote herself. At the present, she realizes that she can read the language and understand the meaning of weapon. Turns out, weapon means gift in their language, and their language is the gift for humanity. She explains to the colonel that if you're really learning the language, you'll begin to proceed time the way they do. But, the colonel still won't listen to her. Then, she starts having visions of her in an international meeting 18 months from now. Suddenly, General Shang approaches her, saying he's been wanting to meet her in person. He wants to thank her for calling him in his private number and changing his mind. Louise says that she doesn't know his number, then he shows his phone and says, "Now you know." Her present self understands and soon looks for a working phone. As she is dialing the number, Agent Halpern is informed of her effort trying to call China. He sends guards to search for her. Louise is looking for a spot to escape from the guards. In the future, General Shang tells Louise his wife's dying words which she repeats to him over the phone. As she receives the premonition, she's hiding behind the door trying to escape from the guards. Luckily, Ian comes and shields her by standing right in front of the door. In the end, Louise manages to convince General Shang, thanks to her premonitions. General Shang has announced that China is standing down, and all the countries have followed to reveal the information they have. In addition, all the heptapod ships are also departing. After they're leaving, that's when Hannah's story begins. Louise and Ian end up getting together, then married, and have Hannah together. Despite knowing what the future holds, and knowing she'll lose her daughter, Louise decides to embrace it and welcome every moment of it. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.